Welcome to SVG-TV News for Monday, April 16, 2018. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Antigua and Barbuda's Prime Minister Gaston Brown is convinced mischief could be involved in the latest probe underway here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, involving the Antigua and Barbuda passport. Speaking with the Antigua Observer Media on Sunday, Prime Minister Brown said he was very concerned and baffled because it seems like mischief on the path of several people. Brown, who said that no stone would be left unturned as the probe goes on, said that there is something fishy about the discovery of questionable Antigua and Barbuda passport documents in St. Vincent. The Prime Minister noted that they are still unable to determine the mischief that the person or persons are seeking to commit, as the bio pages which the police here in SVG said were found with an individual do not bear any relation to the passports that are issued by the government of Antigua and Barbuda, and that all of their passports are accounted for. The Prime Minister further added that there are other protective mechanisms that make it difficult to forge the Antigua and Barbuda passport. Just over a week ago, police here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines reportedly nabbed a senior police officer with the Antigua and Barbuda police force in connection with bio pages of the Antigua and Barbuda passport. An investigation was launched here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines based on suspicion of the involvement of the assistant superintendent named as Ray John, who is a born Vincentian. According to the Antigua Observer newspaper on Friday, John's home in Antigua was raided and 3 special constables from St. Vincent also arrived in Antigua that day. Information provided by the Antigua Daily Observer online site said John, who was born in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, joined the Antigua and Barbuda police force 29 years ago. He headed the Rapid Response Unit at the time of his suspension on Friday. His suspension took immediate effect. Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves believes that the newly passed Advanced Passenger Information Act will help to combat human trafficking here. PM Gonsalves, who is also Minister of National Security, said while the act aims to deal with terrorism, it will also ensure that other serious crimes such as human trafficking are tackled. The Prime Minister said the act is a spin-off of the Immigration Restriction Act, which was implemented as a regional initiative in 2007 for the Cricket World Cup. He outlined some of the stipulations of the Advanced Passenger Information Act, which pertains to both cargo and passenger aircraft and vessels.
Case of a commercial aircraft, 40 minutes prior to departure from the last port of call, you send the information. And a private aircraft, no later than 40 minutes prior to departure from the last port of call. In the case of a vessel arriving from outside the regional space not later than 24 hours prior to arrival. A vessel arriving from a destination within the regional space no later than 1 hour prior to the arrival of the vessel from the last port of call. And vessels and aircraft, an API file is required 5 minutes immediately following takeoff. So as soon as you move out, you send it.
The Prime Minister described the act as sensible, noting that it also ensures that persons who are involved in human trafficking are detected.
In the schedule, which basically is the same schedule about the information to provided as was there in 2007, is here, only that is structured a little differently. But there's an important addition. General remarks including all available information on unaccompanied minors under 18 years, such as name and gender of the minor, languages spoken, name and contact details of guardian on departure, and relationship to the minor. Now, when you name and contact details of the guardian on arrival and relationship to the minor, departure and arrival agent, clearly what that is intended to suppress and to avoid human trafficking, particularly among young persons. This is a sensible bill.
PM Gonsalves expressed gratitude to immigration and customs officers who carry out their duties efficiently. He, however, expressed the need for them to exercise good judgment when dealing with matters such as suspected human trafficking.
And when they don't get there, they complain, but when you check them, they don't have, for instance, an understanding of mathematics. If you can't count, you can't properly be a customs officer. There are other things required. And in the case of immigration officers, is one of the areas of government which we require real quality persons in entering. And I'm using this forum without going into specifics for the immigration officers, from the chief immigration officer down, to understand the circumstances under which we are functioning and to do their job well. And I want to thank them for the job they've been doing, but to ensure that there is a sense of maturity of judgment.
Opposition Senator K. Bacchus-Batiste, on the other hand, has described the Advanced Passenger Information Act as very intrusive and could breach security. In response to the presentation made by Prime Minister Dr. Rav Gonsalves on the Act, Bacchus-Batiste said, while the Act has good intentions, caution must, however, be exercised to ensure that security information, particularly pertaining to financial documents, are not leaked.
For disclosing all forms of payment information, including billing address. That's very wide. All forms of payment information. All persons' credit cards, numbers, dates of expiry, what have you. Is this really necessary? It's very wide. And I wonder if that is really the intent, if we really need to go that far. I know sometimes we copy what others haven't, but I think for our purposes, I'm just wondering, to me this is very, very intrusive. I still think we should look at it because it could give rise, as I say, to security breaches in persons' credit card information and all of that. Is it really necessary then to achieve the aims of this act, of this bill, to have 6 in as wide a way as it is? I could probably understand the billing address, so you want to have an idea of where, but this detailed information to me is not necessary, Mr. Speaker.
The nation's youth are being advised not to accept any form of abuse against them. The advice comes from Director of Gender Affairs, Polly Oliver, who was speaking at a hospitality training seminar for community college students on Friday. The students were told to be aware of abuse, which may come in the form of subtle arguments while dating. Oliver noted that a simple incident could escalate to fatality.
Between 12% and 35% of teenagers have experienced some form of violence, from pushing and shoving to hurting in a, help me read, in a
dating relationship.
Many of you are going through this dating relationship now, and you might start to accept this little pushing thing, and you might start to accept this little shoving thing from down here, not realizing it can escalate. And you accept it because you tell yourself you're getting to know. But be mindful that that violence, that domestic kind of style starts right in dating relationships. It is estimated that 35% of women worldwide have experienced either physical or sexual intimate partner violence or sexual violence by a non-partner at some point in their life.
The gender affairs specialist emphasized to the students the importance of learning skills at a young age where they can earn a living, and cautioned them to be aware of abusers who impose economic control.
Everything is about the person. Everything is about the person. You can't survive without the person. So they control you. You don't want that. That's why you're getting a skill. You don't want that. You want to be so independent. You want to have that level of independence that you can share. You know, you can put money on the table too. Right, Breds? All right. Is there some frightening that Vincy is in such a state? Well, domestic violence is with us. It doesn't mean that, you know, the depth of how it sounds out there, but what we are saying, one act of violence is just too much. It is not to be accepted. Because when one act of violence is committed, this is how it goes out there in the world. So you have a role to play to make sure that we change the perspective of people out there in your era, your time to come, so that we would not accept it. You can't accept domestic violence.
More work, which can lead to behavioral change in the nation's dietary choices, must be done in order to tackle the causes of non-communicable diseases. This from Director of the George Allen Chronic Disease Research Center at the University of the West Indies, Dr. Alafia Samuels, as she spoke on projects aimed at tackling non-communicable diseases and food security in the region. Dr. Samuels said unhealthy dietary practice is a factor which contributes to a number of deaths in the region, and highlighted the importance of behavioral change in this regard.
We know that poor diet is a leading cause of death in the Caribbean at this time. We are dying from heart attack, stroke, diabetes, hypertension, and all of those things are made worse or brought on by poor diet. So diet is the #1 risk factor that we need to be focusing on at this time. And we need to be looking at trying to facilitate behavior change, but we also need to be looking at what is the environment in which people are eating. So, for example, if you have a woman going home late in the evening, she has 3 kids at home to give dinner to, she has been working hard all day, and she doesn't have the time to go home and cook. It's very important what kind of prepared food she has available to her. Because if she only has unhealthy food, she kind of has no choice, right? So we need to be looking at why it is she buys this particular thing to take home. Is it that she prefers that? Or is it that she doesn't have another choice? And if it is that she doesn't have another choice, then that's a market opportunity.
Dr. Samuel said a wide cross-section of local and regional stakeholders will be consulted as part of programs designed around researching issues surrounding non-communicable diseases and food security, which can assist in creating the behavioral change needed.
So one of the first activities we're having for this workshop is in November. We're having what we call a stakeholders meeting, and as Dr. Kiza Beach mentioned earlier, this project is going to be operating in Jamaica, St. Kitts Nevis, and St. Vincent and the Grenadines. So the stakeholders workshop is going to take place in St. Kitts, and we will be taking people from St. Vincent over to St. Kitts, and we are going to be trying to engage people all along what we call the food system. So the producers, the farmers, the importers, the distributors, the people who sell prepared food, the consumers, right? So we are going to be talking to all of these people really for them to sit down together to see if there's any way or any area that we could actually improve to make things better and improve the environment to encourage people to eat in a more healthy way.
The researcher added that institutions such as CXC and the CARICOM Regional Organization on Standards and Quality will also be engaged in work which she believes can assist in creating the necessary behavioral change in the nation's dietary practices.
And how, you know, these big companies spend so much money to get you to change your behavior. And, you know, we need to be aware of that, and we need to be conscious of that, and we need to make our own decisions and not make other people decide for us what it is we're going to do. So, yes, so we're very excited about that to be going forward at CXC level. And then we're also going to be working with CrossQ. Now, CrossQ is an organization called the CARICOM Regional Organization for Standards and Quality. And they are going to be looking at food labeling. So we are very interested in informing consumers by labeling packaged food in a very friendly way. So it's easy for you to look and see whether this food has in too much salt or too much sugar or whatever. And so we are going to be facilitating that process, along with PAHO is also working with CrossQ to see if within the next year or two we can actually come up with some labels for food.
As Vincy Mas continues to grow, the Carnival Development Corporation CDC remains committed to enhancing this nation's premier national cultural festival. At the recent media launch of Vincy Mas 2018, Chairman of the CDC, Ricardo Adams, said his team has been spearheading a number of marketing branding initiatives aimed at attracting more visitors to the June-July festival.
One of the things we did is we've changed the CDC logo. You may have remembered the hand. You may remember the hand-painted one that we've used for, I think somebody said 30, 35 years. We've done one now that is a little more graphics friendly. We can do it in PNG. We can give it to persons in AI, so we can get to do screen prints. We can get to do embroidery, etc. So those are some of the little initiatives that we're taking because we recognize that, for instance, branding and merchandising is also going to be a part of where we're going to have to be going as Vincy Mas grows.
Noting that a lot of work has been done in expanding the CDC social media reach, Adams said the CDC will be working along with a regional broadcasting entity to push promotion for the festival.
Doing work on our Facebook page. I'm hoping that we're going Facebook Live tonight. Our Instagram, we're continuing to push our Instagram. We're about to sign a contract with SVG-TV, where we will be broadcasting some of our video ads, and some of our artists would have interviews, etc. We'll be running programs. We're hoping to host SVG-TV here for the Carnival weekend. And that, of course, would take Vincy Mas out to the wider Caribbean, leveraging the reach that Synergy has.
Adams also took the opportunity to speak on the importance of having the youths involved in the festival.
Supporting the junior events, we're very happy that there was a school band showcase that happened a little while ago, because that means now that we're beginning to attract musicians back, people who are actually playing instruments. And it was really refreshing to see that there was a young man in particular on stage, and he was playing both the rhythm and the lead on the keyboards. And somebody turned to one of our big music performers here and said, "You see, what you're doing on stems, he's doing live." So we have the talent here, we need to encourage them. And I think that's a very good initiative, that School Band Showcase, and hopefully we can continue to work with them.
Meantime, President of the SVG Calypso Association, Earl Cabba Bennett, has expressed the view that in order for there to be a continuity of excellence in Vincy Mas, the youth must be empowered and given the right tools to succeed. Bennett, who was speaking at the media launch of the 2018 festival, outlined how the Calypso Arena intends to mold the youths in the art form.
For the first time this year, we're going to have a junior Calypso caravan. And that caravan is extremely important, because for the first time, we're going to be having the junior finalists performing before crowds before the finals on the 3rd of July. They will journey on the 12th of May to Leyu. On the 26th, they will journey to Sandy Bay, which is somewhat of a mecca for Calypso when it comes to junior Calypso. And on the 9th, they will have the finale at the Annisvale or the Iti Joshua tarmac. There will be a symposium for the young artists. So we have to give them the tools so they can flourish in the environment that we make for them. We must have an enabling environment.